If I had to start over from zero in Canada, no savings, no investments, and not even property, but I could keep what I know about money, these are the 20 principles I'd love to keep. If you're new here, I'm Yudhvir Kabuli, CPA, CFA, and a fellow Canadian, just like you, trying to make good decisions with my money in a country that isn't always cheap or simple to live in. On this channel, I normally post one new video every Saturday at 10 a.m. But today's video is a bit different. Think of it as a bonus mid-month check-in. We've had amazing early traction on this channel, and I really wanted to say thank you by giving you something you can use to get a real head start on your money for 2026 and beyond, all in one place. I'm going to walk you through 20 money principles I feel every Canadian should really know. Some of them are simple and you might have heard of. Some are more advanced. Together, they will form a playbook that you can keep coming back to, whether you're just starting out or you manage a well-established 7-figure balance sheet. And if you stick around to the very end, I'll share one bonus tip, a very practical move most Canadians never think about, but you can quietly set yourself up for serious long-term wealth building without feeling like you're constantly sacrificing your present using these principles. As always, the channel is for education, not personalized financial advice. Your situation is unique, so before you make big money changes, talk to a professional who knows your numbers. All right, let's get into it. Principle number 1. Personal finance is actually more personal than it is finance. Yes, the math matters, but so do your values, your family, your stress levels, your career path, your health, and your risk tolerance. Two Canadians can both be earning $150,000, and the right plan can look completely different for each of them. One might need to prioritize debt repayment and stability. One might be aggressively saving for a first home. One might value flexibility and want the option to pivot careers or travel the world. Another might be focused on long-term wealth transfer to the next generation. So there is no one-size-fits-all formula on this channel. Your plan needs to fit your life, not just Instagram. Principle number 2, focus on the gap, not just the income. Your wealth actually comes from the gap between what you earn and what you keep. Income is important, but where it really compounds over time is the spread between your after-tax income and your lifestyle's actual spending. Most people know their salary, but very few of us know our true savings rate. If you only track one metric this year, let it be this. What percentage of your after-tax income is actually ending up as savings, investment, or debt repayment? You cannot invest what you don't keep. Principle number 3, give every dollar of yours a job. In Canada, I like to think of 3 buckets. Consumption capital, today's life, housing, food, transportation, basic lifestyle, and minimum debt payments. Then comes resilience capital, your shock absorber. This is your emergency fund for car repairs, home maintenance, health costs, taxes owing, and even sometimes short-term income disruption. And then lastly, growth capital. This is future you. Think of extra debt repayment, investing through TFSAs, RESPs, RRSPs, corporate and other non-registered accounts. And when you're overwhelmed, please don't try to fix everything. Just ask yourself, what job does my dollar have right now? Consumption, resilience, or growth? That one simple question can change your whole money trajectory. Principle number 4, understand your marginal tax rate. Always think in after-tax dollars. In Canada, your marginal tax rate, the tax on your next dollar of income, it drives a lot of decisions. RRSP contributions are actually more attractive when your marginal rate is much higher. And remember, side hustles are taxed on top of all of the regular income you're making. Overtime, bonuses, and stock compensation, they all stack onto your current bracket. So before you say yes or no to a money decision, ask yourself, what does this actually look like after tax in my province and at my income level? Remember, gross numbers are just for marketing. Net is what matters and what you keep. Principle number 5, use our Canadian accounts properly. Your account choice matters as much as your investment choice. In Canada, we have several powerful tools. The TFSA for tax-free growth and withdrawals. The RRSP gives you a tax deduction now, but it will be taxable later. The FHSA, a hybrid for first-time homebuyers. the RESP, government grants for education, and later in life, the RIF, how RRSPs actually pay you out in retirement. Very roughly, here's what your savings could look like. If your income is lower to moderate and you want some flexibility, your TFSA actually tends to be your workhorse. If your income is higher and more consistent, RRSPs plus any employer pension plus your TFSA can all be very powerful. If you're saving for a first home, the FHSA plus possibly the RRSP home buyers plan can work together really well for you. And if you're saving for kids' education, the RESP lets you capture that 20% CESG grant. So don't just ask, what should I buy? Ask, where should I hold the money first? Principle number 6, time in the market beats timing the market every time. The biggest wins usually come from staying invested, not just guessing tops and bottoms. You don't need to predict the Bank of Canada's next interest rate move. You don't need to guess the next market crash, but what you do need is a realistic asset mix that you can live with in both good and bad markets. A consistent contribution plan through your TFSAs, RRSPs, and non-registered accounts. And most importantly, the emotional discipline to be boring when everyone else panics. In Canada, we get taxed on realized gains. Trying to time the market usually means more mistakes and eventually more tax. Principle number 7, fees and taxes are actually guaranteed drags. You cannot control the markets, but what you can control are the fees that you pay, taxes, and your own behavior. A 2% MER versus just a 0.25% ETF fee sounds small now, but compounded over the decades, it will lead into massive different results. Excessive trading creates taxable events in your non-registered accounts. And if you're bold enough to be trading too actively inside your TFSA, the CRA may argue that is business income. So you don't have to chase the absolute lowest fee, but you should absolutely know what it is that you are paying for and what you're getting in return. Principle number 8, I want you to be careful with leverage and good debt. Yes, debt is a tool, but every tool can injure you if you misuse it. In Canada, we lean heavily on mortgages, line of credit, investment loans, and margin accounts. Some of that can actually be very productive, like a reasonable mortgage on a home that you can actually afford. But leverage does magnify the downside as well as the upside. So the key question to ask yourself is, can I handle these payment shocks if rates rise? What would happen if my income suddenly drops? Am I using leverage for assets that actually build value over time, or is it just to live above my means? Principle number 9, build a buffer before you actually build a portfolio. An emergency fund is not optional, it is infrastructure. For most Canadians, a reasonable target is 3 to 6 months of essential expenses in high interest savings or short-term money instruments. If your income is variable, or you run a business, or you're the sole earner of income in your household, you might want to add additional savings. This isn't about maximizing return. It is about making sure one bad month doesn't force you to sell your investments at the worst time possible or force you to take on unnecessary high interest debt. Principle number 10, your credit score is a tool. It is not your identity. Yes, your credit score is a tool to get you access to good borrowing, but nothing more. You don't need a perfect 900, but you do want to avoid those red flags. In Canada, good practice usually means paying on time every time. Keeping your utilization number reasonable, often under 30% of your total limits over time. And please avoid a flurry of unnecessary new accounts within a very small period of time. But don't worship the score. Just use it to secure good terms when you need a mortgage, car loan, or a line of credit. And then go back to focusing on your real goals. Principle number 11, housing is both a home and a financial asset. Treat your home as a lifestyle choice with financial consequences, but not always a guaranteed investment. In Canada, housing has done well historically, albeit not so recently, but buying always brings concentration risk. One big asset in one city. It also brings ongoing costs like property tax, maintenance, insurance, and it brings liquidity risk. If you need to move or downsize quickly, you might be stuck. So I don't want you to think of renting as just throwing away your money if you use your savings and invest them seriously on the side. You should run the numbers honestly for your city, your income, and your timeline, and then decide whether you should buy a house or rent. Principle number 12, protect your downside first. We don't want one uninsured event to wipe out an entire good decade of investing. For most Canadians, key risks are, very unfortunately, the death of an income earner, disability or illness that interrupts income, and liability, things like car accidents or property issues. That's where term life insurance, disability insurance, and proper property insurance can quietly protect your whole plan. You don't need to buy every single product that is marketed, but you do need enough protection so that one bad event doesn't force a fire sale of your assets or force you under crippling debt. Principle number 13, always think in after fee, after tax, and after inflation terms. Nominal returns are just a story. Real returns are the truth and your increase in purchasing power. If you see a 10% return, subtract fees, taxes, and inflation. What's left is what actually improves your life. This lens helps you compare between high fee products versus low fee ETFs, taxable versus tax sheltered investing, GICs versus long-term growth investments. Principle number 14, automation beats willpower every single time. System beats motivation. Most Canadians don't have a money problem, but some of us do have a friction problem. So instead of relying on willpower, why don't we just set up automatic transfers to pay yourself first into the TFSA, RRSP, and FHSA, along with automatic bill payments for the non-negotiables, and keep separate accounts, one for bills, one for spending, and one for savings and investing. If it's automatic, you will not be forced to make 50 good decisions a month. You can just take the time now to make a few good decisions once and for all. Principle number 15, talk about your money with the people that are going to be affected by it. Silence around money often proves to be very expensive. If you have a partner, a family, or business partners, your money decisions can affect them too. So what does that mean? Have regular check-ins, not just crisis conversations. Shared clarity on goals, risk tolerance, and responsibilities very clear, and have clear agreements on what happens if one person's income changes, someone steps away from work, or your health worsens. Your money plan does not exist in a vacuum. It actually lives inside of your relationships. Principle number 16, do not outsource your brain. Yes, you can get help, but you cannot outsource your responsibility. Advisors, accountants, planners, lawyers, they can all actually be incredibly valuable to you. But even if you hire the best of the professionals, you should still understand the basic structure of your accounts, how you're invested at a high level, and what your main risks are. Never sign anything you don't fully understand. Keep asking why until it's amply clear. Principle number 17, your career is your first asset. It is human capital. For most Canadians, your ability to earn is your most valuable asset. That means invest in skills and education that have a real return right away. Protect your health and energy so you can actually use those skills over the long term. And be intentional about job moves, networking, and salary negotiations. Before you obsess over squeezing just an extra 0.5% out of your portfolio, make sure you're not leaving tens of thousands of dollars on the table in your career every year. Principle number 18, plan for longer than you think. You're likely to live longer than your grandparents did, and your money has to last you longer too. In Canada, many of us will live into our 80s, and for those that are lucky, into our 90s. That means retirement could last 25 to 35 years. You can't just assume ultra-conservative investing from age 55 onwards will get you through. You need to plan for longevity risk. That is the risk of you outliving your money. A good retirement income plan balances safety, flexibility, and growth. Principle number 19, small boring habits beat big dramatic moves. You don't need a perfect year. You just need to stack many pretty good years consistently. Monthly contributions to your TFSA, RRSP, or FHSA, and then have regular check-ins on spending, and maybe a yearly review of your benefits, insurance, and goal. And then make tiny improvements in your savings rate over time. Most real wealth is built quietly in the background by small, repeatable behaviors, not just one big, flashy decision. Principle number 20, and maybe the most important of them all, progress over perfection. You don't need to know everything to start, but you do need to start. You don't have to master every tax rule. You don't have to time the market. And you definitely don't have to build a perfect spreadsheet. If all you did after this video is decide your rough split between consumption, resilience, and growth, and then set up one automatic contribution towards your buffer or your investment, you'd already be ahead of the majority. Once you've done that, I want you to use videos like this to refine and upgrade as we go. All right, if you're still here, let's talk about your promised bonus tip for sticking around till the end. Most people think about money in terms of, what is it that can I cut from my expenses, or what and where can I invest right now? The people who quietly build real wealth often do one thing differently. They design how their future money will be used before it even arrives. I call this the future raise rule, plus a simple money policy. So here's how it works. First, the future raise rule. You decide in advance what percentage of every future raise, bonus, promotion, or windfall capital gain will automatically go towards wealth building before lifestyle creep even gets a vote. For example, you keep your current lifestyle roughly as it is, and you set a rule, something along the lines of, from now on, 70% of any raise, bonus, or windfall goes straight into investments or debt prepayment, and then I only let myself increase lifestyle by the other 30% remaining. So if your after-tax raise is, let's say, $1,000 this month, $700 should automatically go towards your TFSA, RRSP, FHSA, mortgage prepayments, or your non-registered investments if you're already maxed out. And then the remaining $300 can improve your lifestyle. Think of buying a nicer car, groceries, travel, hobbies, whatever you like. So you don't have to cut your current lifestyle. You just have to lock in your baseline and let your wealth grow faster than your lifestyle creep. Do that for 5 to 10 years of raises, and you'll be surprised how quickly your savings rate can quietly jump without it feeling like a punishment. And the second part of your bonus tip is to write out a simple money policy for your household. Nothing fancy, simple one page. Something along the lines of, our family will save at least X% of our take-home pay. We will follow the future raise rule, 70% of raises to wealth and 30% to accommodate for lifestyle creep. We will not take on new debt unless it fits our conditions. And we will prioritize filling out the TFSA, RRSP, and FHSA in this order. And then we will review our financial goals every January. This will turn your money decisions from being emotional case-by-case debates with your inner self into, we're just following our policy. That's what big institutions do. You can do a simple version right here at your home for yourself. If you only take one action from this bonus tip, let it be this. Before your next raise, windfall, or bonus hit your account, please decide the exact percentage that is going to wealth building. I want you to write it down and automate as much of it you can. I promise you, your future self will thank you in a couple of years. If you found even one of these principles helpful, there's a very good chance the next decade of your money can look very different from the last one. This was a bonus mid-month video because our community has grown faster than I expected. And I wanted to say a big thank you by giving you a high-level roadmap for 2026 and beyond. If you want more Canadian specific, no fluff breakdowns just like this video, please hit subscribe, tap likes so more Canadians see this, and comment down below which principle of the 20, or maybe the bonus tip, hit home with you the hardest, and which one would you like a deeper video on. It could be TFSAs, RSP strategy, mortgages, retirement income, or how to set up your entire money system in Canada. I'll be sure to read those comments and use them to shape our future videos, including our regular Saturday 10 a.m. uploads. I'm Yudhvir Kabuli, CPA and CFA. Thanks a lot for being here, and I'll see you in the next video.